Hi, loved ones. So, as you can see from the title of this video, this is going to be um, a channeling per the request of my stepmother, my Stella girl, okay, which is what I like to call her. Um, I want to give a little backstory, because I know that every person that may see this video may not know, where I am about me, about these things. But as of late, right, when it's in this video, it's 2024. As of late, I'll say within the past 2 or 3 years, Spirit has been revealing a whole lot to me about, my family, the family that I grew up with, how, a lot of things in my life was a lie, you know, and even the way in which I have the video title, right, that my Stella girl was, you know, my stepmother, but my grandmother, right? Because the entirety of my life, I was raised knowing or being told that she was my grandmother, right? And that her husband was my grandfather. But in reality, her husband was actually my biological father, and I was an outside child, okay? And the woman that raised me, that I thought was my mother, her husband I thought was my father, and everybody that I was my aunts and uncles, yeah, all my siblings, all siblings, okay. My the one I was raised, they told me was my father or that I lived with and everything. He was actually my brother-in-law, okay. And then, like I said, my grandfather, one they told me was my grandfather, was actually my father. And my biological mother was who they unalived, okay? Because of situation, because I was a secret, because of money, okay? Now, the thing that I've had to learn and realize over the years, right? Because my Stella girl passed away in 2012. She transitioned from this earth in 2012. Um, and so after that, I'll say a lie came out. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people's true colors were shown, even her last few days, right? Because she's already had me to write down some things, right? Channeling in that way. And then I'm going to shuffle some cards as well, too, to just kind of, some details. But even what she's been saying, about how she passed away, she was very much poisoned. You know what I'm saying? Like there was spell work done on her, all types of things. Yep. I don't know if y'all can hear them birds. I don't know if y'all can hear them birds. Even how she got my attention today to let me know that she wanted me to do this reading. There's a piece of paper in my room that was on the floor, and she moved that motherfucker. When I was getting ready to sit down on the couch, I seen the piece of paper falling down the floor, and I knew that it had been over there because I had just walked up and looked at it the other day. It's like, okay. So when I check the energy, because y'all know me too, if you in my tribe, I tell y'all, don't be afraid if energies are around you. If you are a spiritual person, that's going to happen. If you have mediumship, whether you know it or not, whether you've accepted it or not, those energies are going to be around you. But it's within your rights to ask that energy, what is it? Who is it? You know what I'm saying? What does it need from you? And you can decide whether or not you allow it to stay. You don't need to be scared in your, okay? But when she told me it was her, how them birds flew by, she been making a lot of noise. Like she want to talk. Um, so her, the life that she lived, she was a very pure-hearted person. She was a lot like me, and that's why even when I was being raised up, I guess you could say, in that situation, and because I was an odd child, the one who raised me, the sibling who raised me, she hated my guts. She did. And it reflected in my everyday life through everything that I went through, everything that was said to me, the way in which she beat the fuck out my ass, what they did to me, everything. The mental abuse, everything. And so even before I knew about the secret, right? Because remember, I'm just finding this out within the last couple years. So all my life, I'm 32 now at this point, right? So we talking within the last 2 or 3 years. So that's almost 30 years that we've been talking. Like, I've been living a whole lot. I didn't even know it. Even when my grandmother passed away, my Stella girl passed away, she didn't know a lot of these things. She found out on her deathbed about the poisoning, right? And I'll talk about that once we get into it. But she didn't know a lot of these things. There was a lot of spell work that was done on her, a lot of blinding and confusing spells, so that she didn't know that she was laying up with a motherfucking warlock all her life, all the life that she had been married to my father. And even him playing a part in how she passed away. She didn't know that until she literally went out and came back. Like, they showed her when she went out, she came back, she made her peace, and then she went on by her way. Because she already knew what would come, you know what I'm saying, to the family because of what they did to her. And furthermore, as she found out what they did to me as well, too. And the story behind that, you know what I'm saying, like her husband, I was actually his child versus the grandchild and all of that, yeah. So she pushed through today. She said she wanted to talk, and I'm gonna give her her reading, okay? So let's open this up, Spirit. Let me open this up officially for my Stella girl. Thank you so much for this reading, for this space. Stella girl, I invite you into this energy as well, too, to say what needs to be said. Please clear my throat chakra, because you know it's gonna be a whole lot of people that don't want to hear this or don't want these things to be said. But I'm gonna say it anyway, clearing the throat and all, okay? And Spirit, please do protect me as I channel and receive all of these messages. Ashe. All right. So the first thing that she was pushing through was 1963. And in some correlation as well to her older child and how much, attention and energy her husband was giving to the older child. Now, the one thing that I was asking her and clarifying with her, because what needs to be known and said now, and I've said it before, and I'm gonna keep on saying the shit because it's the truth, is that man is really sick. You feel what I'm saying? He likes younger children in those types of ways. That's been a demon, you know what I'm saying, in him, on him for years. And even when she was saying to me, about around this time, I'm not sure exactly what year her oldest was born. I feel like it was somewhere around this 63, 64, something like that. So she may have been pregnant around this time. But it was like giving, for her, because she was such a good hearted person, she felt as though, maybe I had like a type of envy that, came because, of something that was wrong with me or something that was off about me. But in real time, no. Her envy was women's intuition, a true woman's intuition. Because that man was sick. And even if you see in adult years, right, and anybody that know me, know my story, know my background, know my folks, I ain't lying. When you see the type of infatuation that his oldest daughter has with him, especially since my Stella girl had passed away, I'm talking about literally will be guarding him from other women, you know what I'm saying, in the church, standing up, ain't nobody finna have my daddy, and da 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 da, and will be standing beside him at the end of service when everybody would come up and shake the pastor's hand, right? Oh, and if I didn't mention that, if you didn't already know, these are people, church folks, okay? My mother is a pastor. So all this line and carrying on was also going on while there was service on Tuesday night, Thursday night, Sunday afternoon, and Sunday night as well. Everything, my Stella girl was a first lady. Everything that happened to her while she still wore that crown of the first lady, they was deep in the church, still poisoning people, still putting spells on folks. Every member up in there. So let's be about that. But back to what I was saying, at the end of those services, right? The pastor would kind of be there shaking everybody's hand before they leave. And yeah, would literally be standing on the side of him, like trying to stare down women and, fan them away if they were standing around on and shit like that. Very weird. She's married. She got cheated on because she crazy as hell, but she married. But the thing was, there was some shit going on. And that type of obsession don't happen just off of no, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I just love my daddy so much. Like, nah. And what, you know, my Stella girl had to realize, I'll say it like this, the majority of her realizations that maybe she, you know, could have denied or, you know, didn't want to see or admit, like when she was alive on this earth, she had to accept all of that, you know, even in her passing. And even her pointing me back to that time and like thinking like, okay, maybe what I'm feeling is just, you know, me. And that's even her saying, okay, thank you, I hear you. Yeah, she's agreeing that this is her trying to, you know how we try to give things the benefit of doubt, like, oh, maybe it's not this, maybe it's not that. Heavy on this topic too, right? Like maybe I need to give a trigger warning with this, because there's a lot of people that have gone through these types of situations, to where there could have been something, but because somebody else, or mama figure or whoever, wanted to give this benefit of the doubt, they didn't ask questions, they didn't investigate more like they should have to figure out what's going on. But then you got folks growing up 40 plus years old still having this weird obsession with their dad, talking and baby talking shit like that. Yeah, there's a problem there, and there's been a problem there. And she's literally, you know what I'm saying, like pointing back to the fact that it started when her daughter was young. It's also reflective of his problem, them young kids. Okay? We have Jonah. Actually, this is what I want to do. I want to clarify these as I'm going, because I was going to read all of them and then clarify. But is there anything else I need to say about this, Girl? We got false person in reverse, official person. Yeah. This is confirming what I just said. Like, he did a whole lot of things here to really make him look like a really upstanding person. And I'm telling y'all, any person who already know me and know like these folks, you know I'm not lying. The entirety of what this man built his reputation on was the fact that he was so upstanding, right? But in the middle of everything, I was in that church. I was singing in the choir. I was teaching the choir. I was doing everything. And every one of my siblings, every person in there was a elder, a choir director, a musician. Everybody knew, but me, but Stella Girl. Yeah. And she just keeps emphasizing how, you know, out of every person, right? Because it's still a lot of people that shocked that, you know, if you've been put on to game in any sort of way, like you knew this man and what he represented, but now you know what it is and what it ain't. Everybody has had this sense of, you know, such a shock factor, because when I say the spell work, like the cloaking was so strong. It's like even amongst the people that he ran with or, you know, was connected to, everybody's like, oh, they may do this or they may do that or they may cheat on their wives or da 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 da, but not superintendent, not Sue. But here I am, the evidence. We'll do a whole nother reading the other day on the amount of time these folks tried to unalive me, you know what I'm saying, to try to get rid of the evidence, just like they did my mom. But yeah, she's confirming like she was really giving a lot of things the benefit of the doubt here, because, you know, and of how he presented himself. Yeah, mature man coming out. I can't make this shit up. He presented himself like somebody that will never do that will never, you know what I'm saying, fuck up his household, his home, never cheat on his wife, you know what I'm saying? But no. He was doing shit within the house. And yeah, look at this. The lover's card falling out. Doing things to his own children. And with other, you know what I'm saying, other people's children as well too. Yep. Lover's card coming out here, thief at the bottom of the deck. Okay. So we got the name Johanna here. Stella Girl, what is Johanna? Who is Johanna? Damn, false person in reverse coming out again. High honor, toil, and labor. Official person. Payway. Who is Joanna? Give me 1 second. Let me grab this tarot. Can you show me the energy for Johanna, please, beautiful? Six of Swords, Chariot, Knight of Wands, Four of Swords. This gives me the energy like this is what I would say about her, and she even said it for herself. Even when it came down to like her heart and why they was able to do as much magic on her as they did, because she was really cursed with the energy of like fear. She feared everything. She was so afraid, so afraid, so afraid. And so even this energy, it gives me like, maybe Johanna was somebody that she was worried about back in the day, you know what I'm saying, that she was going to get left behind for, or whatever this is here. But I do see that there was a fear, at a certain point of being left behind. And it feels like it was more of like in her younger years or like earlier in the marriage. Because after a while, she was extremely comfortable with him. That's why, a lot of these things just kind of did go under the radar again. Back to that energy of presenting as some sort of official, moralistic type energy here that would never, but in real time was and did. So this could be somebody that she was worried about back in the day. You know what I'm saying? If you know, you know. And it's crazy, even when I was confirming with her earlier about whether or not, I'm like, did you know about this? Did you know about this? Did you know about this? She was like, no, I didn't. Like, not when I was alive. So when I say even, her being in an energy, it's valid. I'll say this. If you know church energy and shit like that, being a first lady, not for the, the faint of heart. There will always be, women who think that being the first lady is just a dream, you know what I'm saying? Like, always trying to come in and be a distraction and challenge and all that shit like that. So, I can see how even that would have caused insecurities in her. But it's like, in a lot of ways, this man's problem was not just women. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was still like he had a preference. And most of the ladies like that was coming up to him and shit like that, his age or older, he ain't want that shit. But what that man say, hide your kids, hide your wife, you know what I'm saying? Heavy on the hide your kids. Okay? She mentioned something about the beauty shop, all right? Father's sister owned the beauty shop for years. They ended up unaliving her too. Same thing. They poisoned her. She passed away a couple of years after Stella Girl. They did the same thing to her, poisoned her. They thought they was finna get her for some money. But I said this before in the reading that she already knew what was up. So by the time they thought they was gonna, do the same thing like they did with my grandma, take over power of attorney, you know what I'm saying, run through her shit, baby. Everything was, you know what I'm saying, in bankruptcy of some sort. She had refinance shit, you know what I'm saying? They could even have ownership of the home. And them folks literally had to go use their Masonic pool to like get out of that. You know what I'm saying? They didn't realize that it was gonna thought that they had scored some shit. They was gonna be able to get some in, as always. But that auntie play, you feel what I'm saying? But she owned a beauty shop up until she literally, beauty shop that came and got her. She never went back. She went to the hospital, never went back. Um, but it has come out in the reading before in that beauty shop. There was a particular room in the back of that beauty shop that there was a lot of things that were done in there that were very inappropriate. Okay. Um, it was a lot of things that my father was involved in that room, right? And when I say that room, like if I could give y'all like a visual of the type of vibe or something that could have went on back there, like if you ever seen that movie Harlem Nights or any sort of movie that maybe would have went on in the Harlem Renaissance where it was always like that back room when niggas was back there just gambling and talking shit and you know what I'm saying, spitting and drinking and everything else, like, or doing a whole bunch of shit like that they ain't had no business, right? Almost even giving like a vibe of a brothel, right? Yeah, that's what this was given. Like not necessarily the whole beauty shop, but it was just like that room, that little space, that little corridor, other little rooms that were back there, bathrooms and shit like that. And so I don't think that today is a day to really talk about everything that's been shown about what was going on in that beauty shop. Again, that's a whole nother reading. But she did mention that today. And a lot of times, what she said is she's finding out that a lot of times, when he may be saying that he was going somewhere else or doing something, she realized that he was there. You know what I'm saying? And the craziest part about this is my father knew a lot of people, all types, you know what I'm saying? Because this was everything about that church, the way it was built, everything that went on in that church was fraud. It was fraud. He worked with people as well too that was, making all types of dirty money, cleaning it through the church, everything in between. So he dealt with people on that level, but he also dealt with a whole lot of pastors that was just like him. Wasn't shit at all. Wasn't a full representation of nothing that they stood in them pulpits and huffed and puffed and broke a sweat and everything else every Sunday about. And when I say that he was hosting, types of parties, you know what I'm saying? Even things that leaned into like trafficking and things like that, right? But it was a lot of well known pastors that could have been in there. And all of this as well, right? Because this is the next thing that she's mentioning, right? Was under this Kojic shit. If you know, you know. And I don't care what you say, I don't care how upright your leader, your pastor is. If your pastor has a church that is under the COGIC faith, which I'm telling you, that man or that woman knows what they signed up for. They know that they signed a deal with the devil by putting their church under that congregation. That's what you want right now, but I'm telling you, as what I told y'all with everything else, and if you know me, you know what's up. Everything I done told y'all done came to pass. Because Spirit don't have me out here lying about nothing. Nobody do. So when it comes to that Kojic shit, and even when y'all hear, shit like the Clark sisters being mentioned and, these Illuminati talks and shit like that, these folks are not lying. Them, that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, there was a lot of these pastors, especially under this particular congregation. They had a whole lot of dark, sick shit going on. And everything was wrapped up, covered up, bundled up in this whole brotherhood, right? But in a lot of ways, her, just like a whole lot of other, of these first ladies and things like that, were victims to these pastors because in some sort of way they sacrificed their wives. Same thing with my father and my stepmother. But the thing about him was like, and with a lot of other people too, why you see a lot of these churches stay within these families and, the pastor end up being the pastor's son and so on and so forth, or grandson, or it go to the brother or whatever. Yeah. The families be in on this shit too. You see almost at least one, right? In every first family of the church, there's either at least one tragic death to a sibling, child, or a wife or husband or something like that, right? And I'm telling y'all, just like y'all see in the other world, and you know, like, when you see a superstar wanting to try to get in the Illuminati, they have to sacrifice somebody that's close to them. This shit ain't no different. And Koji just be wanting folks to look at it because they God, God, Jesus, Jesus, but God and Jesus be like, we don't fuck with y'all. We don't know y'all. And because my grandmother had a good heart, even when this man started talking about joining Kojic, right? She kept protesting it. She had a bad feeling about it. She already knew my grandmother was an Aquarius. She was always very intuitive about these things. And while because she may have believed, that this man had some sort of upright energy because he played the role well, she was pushing more like, oh, because you are upright, you don't have to, go through no Kojic or do none of this. Just, be a pastor, do what God is telling you to do. But no, she knew this man got bug eyes here. Knew. And anytime she went down to like the headquarters of like where, everything would take place in Mississippi, it's all broken up into regions, jurisdictions, and shit like that, right? But the jurisdiction that he was in, the headquarters was in Clarksdale, Mississippi. And when I tell you, every time my grandmother would go down there, either while she was down there or whenever she would be sick as fuck, having heart attacks. She went into a cardiac arrest while she was there one time. I used to stay because that's the one thing about it, baby. I did not play about my grandma. If I knew she was sick or if it was something where I could be free, to make sure that she was good because her health was so back and forth after they started attacking her. She suffered for years. Her heart declined for years. She had to get a defibrillator. They had to change the battery in that bitch, which is unheard of because it had go off so many times, kicking her heart back into play. They fucked her up. And so a lot of times, as much if I wasn't at school or in college, like I would be coming to be at her bedside, like right there, making sure she was good. And there were so many times where I literally kept her from collapsing because she couldn't even, she didn't have enough strength to even just go from the bed to the bathroom. Like the task of using the bathroom became too much, everything. All these things was going on, and like she just could not figure out why. Couldn't figure it out. Figured out for nothing. And it's, like I said, every time she would go down to Clarksdale, it would get worse and worse and worse. But that shit was, if it was a headquarters for anything, motherfucker, it was a headquarters for dark magic. Because that's what they was doing. And any other person too, because I'm manifesting that this video gonna find the right people. There's a lot of other people that they gonna end up finding out they got a story that's a lot like mine too, in that same jurisdiction, in that same district, all of the above. Whether your grandma, your granddaddy, like a pastor, first lady or something like that, or especially heavy on the first lady energy. And you just saw her health, like most of these women, just like my too, they was so vibrant, right? They was just up, cooking for everybody. They was just the big mama energy. But then just all of a sudden some inexplicable illness or, like some just health strike out of nowhere. And then you see these people just decline, suffering. But the whole time it's people constantly gathering around them, laying hands, praying on them. Why they getting worse, bruh? Why they getting worse? Oh, I know why. Because y'all ain't praying at Praying. Y'all are Preying. And every time y'all take y'all hands up off of them, you take a little bit more of their energy and their health with you. Because that's what the fuck y'all do. And that's the same thing that happened to my girl. And while he was sitting there acting like he wasn't up for everything, and this is the thing too, when they would go down to Clarksdale, when I tell you that she used to be in that room by herself hours at a time, he would be gone all day long. And these saw meetings and shit like that. And they was meetings, all right, but it was a whole lot of warlock shit going on up in there. And the whole time she was upstairs suffering, not even knowing that whatever he was downstairs doing up that long ass hallway and that headquarter building, all them pastors got like a little private room and office. Like that energy, y'all, it's just always been off. Even in that back of the beauty shop, all that shit, and you can tell it was some fucked up shit that was going on in there. How did we know? And now that it's out in the open, yeah, it makes sense why that shit felt wrong. It makes sense why, you know what I'm saying, a lot of these first ladies' energies were, getting destroyed in their bodies. They was just getting sick and all that shit like that because they had a husband who was literally sacrificing them. And this is what leads me to the point of her saying she the last time she went into the hospital, y'all, this is what I want to say too. And it's kind of like circling back to number one, that 1963 energy, him having this weird ass energy or connection with his oldest daughter, right? I was in the house the day that my grandmother, you know what I'm saying, the last time she went into the hospital, like she never came back. And that particular, it was August, right? Damn. She passed August. It's either the 12, 16, something like that. We right around it. Maybe that's why she pushing through. I didn't even realize like we was this close. It's probably why she pushing through to talk about this. But usually around August, right, there will be some sort of family reunion on my father's side. And they are originally from Detroit, Michigan. So this particular year in 2012, they had decided to, do like a homecoming reunion, right? Instead of going somewhere out, which is what we would normally do, pick a destination and have a family reunion there. They was like, let's just go back home, you know how they go. So they were supposed to leave that day night after church, right? And at this point, my grandmother was already so weak, you know what I'm saying, to the point to where she was having to be pushed around in a wheelchair. She couldn't really walk. Anything that would like raise her heart rate, she couldn't do it. She couldn't walk up and down stairs, none of that. Because her function of her heart was already so first and foremost, she wasn't supposed to be going on this trip. But the thing about a bald head ass family is that they always talking about a motherfucking trip, a trip, a trip, a trip, trip. Ain't damn bitch got no money, ain't got none of that. And everything that they did have, they stole from me. They stole from my mama. But willing to put motherfucking people's health on the line. Y'all, I remember going on the vacation time. I ended up having to drive. We went from Memphis to I think Gatlinburg or something like that. But I had to drive because my fake, mom and dad, which is my sister and brother-in-law, had just caught some virus, right? That had been going around. Several people in the family had it. But instead of them missing the trip and looking like, you know what I'm saying, oh, they left out or whatever, they literally had made me drive. And I was what? I was grown. I was grown, early 20s, but I wasn't like out here driving in the family road trip type grown. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm still like I'm in the back seat, bitch. Headphones on, blanket, pillow tucked. I the snacks. What you need? Okay. But motherfuckers literally in the back seat shivering, shaking, got a fever and everything, still trying to go on a trip, trying to look relevant. So my grandmother, we leave church and she at the end of it, she kind of saying, hey, I don't really know, like I'm not really feeling, too well. Right? But she just kept saying at that point too that she don't want to go back to the hospital. She was just kind of like, what happened, or like if I pass away at home, like don't take me back to the hospital. She was tired of that. Like when I say she had been hit with the little thing so many times, I don't know what they call them, little shocker things. The, no, yeah, whatever they call. Anyway, the paddles. So many times, all of that. Her body was worn. Again, they was doing that magic on, kept hitting her with that, kept poisoning her. My sister, the one who played my mama, was over all of her medications and everything. Like she be the mastermind of that shit. But she was just telling them like, I don't feel it. Something feel off. Something feel wrong. And the main one who was sitting in there yelling at her, right? Like, You okay? Like, what's wrong? Da 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 da. Because here's the other thing. She said that she didn't really feel like going, but she also wanted my father to stay home with her, right? Which is quite naturally something like you'll think about. Of course she would want it, right? Like that's her husband. They've been married however many years. She's sick, you know what I'm saying? Like, and not sick like I got a cold, like my heart, you know what I'm saying? Like, so if I want to stay home and I want my husband to be here with me, like that's what I want. But when I say her oldest daughter, the same one again that she already had some suspicion that something, you know what I'm saying, may have been a little off or whatever about, was yelling to the top of her lungs at her. You always doing this. You trying to take, dad away from da da da, and he can still go and whatever, whatever. And she wasn't even yelling back. She ain't had strength to do it, but she just kept saying, "But that's my husband." You know what I'm saying? Like that's my husband. You worry about your own husband. That's my husband. And if I ask him to do, you know what I'm saying, come stay. And when I say like battling back and forth, y'all, and the crazy part about it was I was only over there at the time because I saw, you know what I'm saying, like that she wasn't feeling it. I wasn't planning on going anyway because I had just had my first daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like we weren't really in that space of traveling. She was only 3 months old. So I told her, I was like, well, mom, if you don't feel like going, then me and the baby would just come stay with you, at the house or whatever, because I ain't know what was gonna happen. And I could tell that my father was even split too because he had the daughter all in his ear talking about, well, can he still go? And the other sibling was kind of saying it too, but they just wasn't loudmouth as the oldest daughter about it. But everybody else on edge too because they felt this pressure of like, well, if he don't go, then we not gonna be able to go. That was the other thing too. The oldest, again, ain't got no fucking money. So she was planning on staying in the room with her mom and daddy anyway. And she was worried because if he didn't go, then she wasn't gonna have nowhere to stay. Fuck the fact that your mama is passing. Okay? So they going back and forth. I'm over there. Me and my nephew. Hell, I thought he was my cousin, but he my nephew. We in the back room. We just kind of like, just listening, door open, but also just kind of having our conversation. Like, bro, what's going on? Like, it was just getting too intense. Like over a small decision of like, let them folks stay at home if they want to go, and if it's that bad for y'all to go, fucking go. You feel what I'm saying? Just go. So my grandmother gets up at some point and says she has to go to the restroom. She goes in the restroom. We hear a big old thud on like in the tub. And so they run to the knocking on the door. Mama, you okay? You okay? You okay? She not responding. They have to break into the door and she has collapsed, falling off the toilet into the tub. Now I think she was already gone unconscious before she hit the tub. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't think she like hit her head or anything. But they did have to like pull her out, throw her in the car, drive her to the hospital. So at this point, she may have spent maybe like 2 or 3 weeks in the hospital this last time. And the one thing that is very significant, something that she had me to write down here too, is that, per usual, right? Because she was in and out of the hospital a lot. And when I say I know now that it frustrated the fuck out of them because they was trying to unalive her. And she was just like me, you kill us. You know what I'm saying? Now with her fight did have to come to an end, right? But it was just like as many times as they was trying or they thought like, oh, this time we gonna get what we want. No, she kept kicking back, right? But it literally came to like her body failed her, like her heart function just went down and down and down, and they couldn't do anything about it. She was too old for like a heart transplant. She had other issues, her thyroid as well too, which made her, her body just weaker. So it is it after the heart went. But within that 2 weeks, when she first went in, she still kind of had that energy of like, I'm going to fight this. I'm going to beat this. I want to live to see all my grandbabies grow and da 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 da. And, she wanted to live. She was fighting for that. But then it got to this point to where she started like going down. She kept like going in and out, going in and out. And so this one time she went out, it was like, man, something feel a little different. Like it's almost like I don't know, like she gonna make it back from this one. And when she came back, she was different, right? You could tell she was different. She had saw something, she had experienced something. She was much quieter, you know what I'm saying? Like she wasn't speaking that I get out of here and things like that. She just had like this sense of acceptance that was about her. And so there was a particular day that I was there, right? Because I didn't even get to be there as much as I wanted to, throughout that time because, I was pregnant and just had the baby, like, 'cause she was in the hospital the majority of that year. So I was around her while I was pregnant, she was in the hospital. And then even like her last few days when I first had the baby, I tried to come as much as I could, get a sitter and all of that. But that one day I was there and I could just tell, like, it's almost like I don't know, like it was hard to explain. Like when she looked at me, she didn't say much, but it was like her eyes was just communicating so much. And so it was me, the fake ass mama who was my sister, and then it was my father that was in the room, right? And so she was at ICU in this point, so we was like limited how many visitors we could have. Everybody was there at the hospital, but it was just us in the room at the time. And so I was holding her hand. We was, in the bed, and I looked at them. I was like, "Can I ask her?" And they didn't really say nothing. So I just turned back around and I looked at her and I was like, "Are you ready to go?" And all she did, y'all, was literally pick up my hand. She kissed my hand, put it back down, and then she just patted like this and looked up at the ceiling, and it was just like tears just rolled down her face. And it like we all just kind of like started crying because it was like she didn't want to say it, but she knew. And what she also didn't want to say is that she knew why he was sick. That's why I say like she saw something. And I don't know if like some of our other answers like, "Hey, let us tell you, you know what I'm saying? Like, let us show you your kids, let us show you what's going on, your husband or whatever." But when she came back that second time, she knew what they did, and she just had accepted that it was her time to go. She was ready to go. And at that point, she was just like pouring out a love. And and even too, y'all, like when I say like this shit was so crazy, like even before this last time of like the Detroit, there was another, I think, a time back like a month before, like June or July or something like that. They had planned a trip to go to some basic ass shit. It was something in Alabama or something like that, like a play ass beach or some child. And literally the same thing, like while in the middle of her being in the hospital, like they all just left. They went on a trip and act like they was calling every hour on the hour. "We gonna be checking in and is she okay?" and da 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 da. But we can't get this money back. And you know what I'm saying? Like just crazy shit. And when I say I can literally remember, you know what I'm saying, those times, those days where I was just there with her. I was pregnant, laying on the hospital floor, you know what I'm saying, because the couch was just too uncomfortable. But the concept to me of like, why would we leave her here by herself? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would we not be by her side? That was not clicking to me. You feel what I'm saying? It wasn't clicking to nobody who had good sense. And that's why it was like in all of those things, you know what I'm saying? Like you could tell she was being forced by God, by somebody, child, to accept it. You got some trifling ass kids. Your kids is literally the reason why you are here sick, passing away right now. She said she saw it on her literal deathbed. And so now the last thing that she had me to write down was her apologizing, right? Because again, it was the first lady, and she's saying that she realized there were so many people that looked up to her, that were connected to her. She still was a beautiful example, right? And even the things that she's apologizing for, if you are a person who is spiritual and you are healing, then you get what this is about, because she's apologizing for the way in which she allowed her fear to project negative things onto people. She spoke to a lot of people from fear, out of fear, through fear, and as well the judgment, right? Because again, this same religious sector that we came from, this whole father figure who, you know what I'm saying, like was living in this whole lie. When I tell you the most judgmental pastor, baby, make you feel like hell up under your feet every sermon, you know what I'm saying, because you ain't good enough, because you ain't, you know what I'm saying, did everything right and all. Like they knew how to judge and break people down. Manipulation. But again, in my grandmother's mind, this was like, okay, we just being strict on living for God, and we got to do it right, and we got to be right. So even again, the way in which she handled people, it was according to that standard. And she apologizes for that. Because even in right, there was still a pure intention. She thought like this was what being saved was about. But it was literally in realizing that those same people who was and doing all that, being the same people who was literally killing her, to be like, oh yeah, ain't nothing to this. Just like it took me realizing, you know what I'm saying, like this whole life I lived was a lie. To walk away from that whole church and religious sector altogether. Because baby, I still want God, but I guarantee you the way y'all doing shit up in here, I ain't gonna find him. And I feel like even that once they showed her, you know what I'm saying, like that, the way in which she was fighting, her survival was dependent upon that because they kept attacking her. They showed her that eventually it was gonna come to this. When she was in hospice, y'all, I promise you, the blood that was flowing to her, I'm sorry, I done said it. I don't even know if it was blood, y'all. I'm gonna say the fluids that was flowing into her, like her from her catheter into that little bag was black. It was black. They had did so much damage to this woman's body, pumped so many poisons into her body, like, but she passed away in peace because it was like, again, her heart was so beautiful and she still forgave. I don't know if she ever said anything to him. I doubt it. She on their ass now. But in that moment, it was just kind of like, again, like I said, she came back so quiet because it was like she needed to process it, what was happening. And it's hard to process it too when it's almost like, because think about this, it get a vibe of like, say for instance, you dealing with like an abusive partner. They beat the fuck out your ass and then they turn around and want to put you in the bath and wash you up. You ain't trying to process that. You don't want that person to touch you again. You still flinching, you know what I'm saying, from what happened at first. But it's like them forcing themselves like, now I'm helping you type shit. That was. They did all of that shit, but then was on her last few days, well, we gonna stand around. Ain't nobody gonna leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna take turns, rotation, take shifts. You go home and take a shower. It's like, so she just kept being in her loving energy. She kept loving on kids. She kept talking about some get all the money in my wallet, go buy yourself something to eat and things like that. Until she came to the space where she was just completely unresponsive and she passed away very peacefully. But for every person, I know they gonna see this too. But for every person who played a part in this, she wants y'all to know that she know. Yeah. This card flipping over, she wants y'all to know that loud and clear. She know who's who did what. And it's crazy that it's 7 things that I wrote down here, and then this is the card that come out right in. Like, yeah, I just want that to be a message very loud and clear. She know. She knew that, you know what I'm saying, the one again who played my mother was one of the characters here in a lot of things. She was the only one again who had the brains to do a lot of shit. The oldest daughter too fucking ditzy, too much, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, da 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 da, too emotional, too dramatic. All the sons, scary fuck. They talk big game, walk around talking about we tope and shit like that, but bitch, you ain't shooting shit but blanks in your fucking wife because you really don't like women like that. Anyway, we got thoughts coming out here. Adjudication. And this is the thing too. A lot of them, she's been showing me how she been on their ass. You know what I'm saying? Like she been getting her justice now. A lot of them, they haunted by her. For real, for real. Every one of them that played a part, they're getting some sort of justice now. And even this message, look how message of concern is coming out here, right? Even this reading coming through today. She know how they watch me. She know who watch me. And this is why she wanted me to channel her energy today, so that it be confirmed. Because there's a lot of people that watch me who still trying to fight this whole notion of, I don't believe in tarot, or I don't believe there's witchcraft. Bitch, you know what witchcraft is. You do witchcraft. But you also know what the truth is, and that's why you come and you watch me religiously, more than you watch them goddamn Bibles. And I'm sure you there today expecting this message, but this is what she wants you to know. And it should be concerning to you that, you know what I'm saying, like I'm so very willing to talk about this in a public way. Keep pushing it out, I am. And especially for my father again too, being in this energy with this courtship in reverse here, being in this energy to where he tried to play himself to be such an upright person, you know what I'm saying, or that he had such a regard for my stepmother. He did not. He played the role very well, but he did not. Main male in reverse, he did not. He was not about that life. Even how the main male in reverse is falling under the main female, I'm telling you, him and the one who made my mother work together very, very, very much hand in hand to pull off a lot of things. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, financially at a certain point, after he signed his deal with the devil, got in Kojic, you know what I'm saying? And he has a high leadership role in Kojic. I want you to know that. And just like with anything else, the higher your role, the more people you done sacrifice, the more dirt you done did. He sits on a high board of elders and people. He sits close to the bishop of everything. He's not only sacrificed, his wife as the first lady, but he sacrificed other pastors in that sector as well too. 2019, yeah. Spirit ain't ever gonna forget that, how y'all took out all them pastors. And if you watching this and you connected to that jurisdiction and you had a pastor, grandfather, whoever, daddy who passed away in 2019, I'm telling you now. Northern Mississippi Ecclesiastical District, it passed away in 2019. They were sacrificed by the board members that still stand, by the bishop that still stands. But in everything that he did, you know what I'm saying? Like once he stepped into that, he kept everything hidden from, Stella Girl, but it was like she was well taken care of. She was very spoiled. Anybody that knew my grandmother, you know what I'm saying? She always wearing some fancy skirt, dress, suit, whatever. Hair on, beauty shop. She was at beauty shop every week. It was her daughter, my fake ass mama, who was doing her hair. She was the beautician. But when I say it was some other shit going on in the background here, even the way in which a lot of those trips and things that were funded, that motherfuckers was always trying to take, like scams, fraud. Yeah. And this is what I've been talking about too in my other readings with this message of concerning imprisonment coming out. These folks finna go to jail. My family finna be a prime example. If y'all don't see no other examples, in which I know y'all done already seen some. People having to face this justice or finally come to the fact of like, yeah, bitch, you been stealing, you been, you know what I'm saying, playing in God's name, whatever it is, you finna go to jail. But I'm telling you, whoever, I don't know how they gonna have it worked out or who take the fall, if the old one going to jail, if all of them going to jail, I don't know what it is here. But when I say everything was a fraud, even while a lot of them, kept pushing those trips because it was like they was trying to clean a lot of me. Yeah, if we show on paper and have pictures and receipts that we went on this trip and why did we need to, pull this much money from this account and da and move money like this. Yeah, they had to have all these fronts and things covering things up. And my grandmother is making it very loud and clear that she's very much a part of making sure that they, you know what I'm saying, yeah, that they get what's owed to them. And even with this unexpected income coming out here, this ain't money. This is her letting them know, like, yeah, they got so much more that's coming. They don't even expect it or know it yet. Poverty at the bottom of the deck. That's why I say this shit is not about money. They just don't expect whatever is coming in here. A lot of them have been seeing her face. She very bold. Just like I told you, she came in and moved this piece of paper in here for a lot of her children as well too, my siblings. She been showing up in they life and they way the same way here. Cause she want her justice. She know what happened. Lie to yourself all day and act like, oh, she don't know, or oh, I'm just tripping, oh, I'm paranoid. No, baby. You tripping, you sick, but I guarantee you ain't far from what the truth is here. And that is that karma is on your ass. All her children here. They know what they did. And I've watched all of them be sick at some point too. In the hospital with strokes, you know what I'm saying? All types of crap here, child. And every last one of them was hella paranoid. Even it happened because they knew that there was some karma owed to them for what they did to their own mother. Yeah, mature woman in reverse. Everybody thinking that shit coming back to them. Every time they get sick, every time they cough, every time a bitch have a stroke, you already know that shit coming back to you for what you did to your mama. Good luck with that shit. Anything else, Mom, you want to say here? We got despair coming out in reverse here. Journey. False person. Mature man in family room. Yeah. Lovers. Yeah. Now she's speaking about my father here. And I feel like even she has found a sense of peace because she knows the truth about him. He's especially haunted by her because know how much he, you know what I'm saying, he covered up. And even a lot of his children knew more about the dirt that he did than she did because they were the ones who were helping him. His oldest son got a position in that same jurisdiction, you know what I'm saying, down there too. Same type of thing to where the person that was there before ended up passing away, getting sick out of nowhere, and now here it is, you got the position. All this, like, nah, man, come on. But when I say real, they knew about all this, and she was the one that was left in the dark. But yeah, she want him to know too. She know everything. She finally see the truth here. Occupation and community. And I feel like as well too, she does feel a way about him bringing children into this. Yeah. But she also said, I hope it was worth it with this wealthy man in the coffin. Like, I hope what you did to me was worth it. What's getting ready to happen to him? She said, I hope it was worth it. Yikes. Anything else, Mom? Yeah, we got high honor coming out here. Change, privilege lady. She talking now. Because she also know what they did to me and she ain't playing about that. She said as well she been a part of the ones that's been working to make sure that I get what's owed to me. She been one of the ones making it harder and harder for y'all to steal and keep doing what y'all doing. Yeah. Whew, so I guess the biggest energy here is she just wants these people to know that she know everything. And again, she is apologizing to any person who was affected anyway by her limited mindset, her limited thinking at that time. I do feel she has shown me before that she has atoned in a beautiful way. And even the way in which she kind of really surrounded me and has, been one of my main spirit guides throughout my journey, like that has been her way of atoning as well too. She kept showing me the same way she did when I was alive because she knew I had a good heart even then. And she for real was a protecting angel to me. Not even knowing both of us are the only ones in the situation that didn't really know the truth. I had not siblings. I had nieces and nephews, right? That was close to age in me because we was raised. It's like I was the oldest, cousin. That my mom was the first one to have a child, and in reality, bitch ain't had shit but a gastric bypass surgery on my tab. She ain't shit. You feel what I'm saying? And every child that came after that actually was a grandchild that actually did come from my siblings. Yeah, them was my nieces' nephews. But we was all at the same, pretty much the same age. It was like a year or two difference in the age of me and my, my first two cousins, and gonna go on from there. But um Even at some point, they ended up, knowing and finding out before I did. And nobody said nothing. They still ain't said nothing. All these things are confirmed. And this is why Spirit is like, if you didn't want to, this could have been something. Because in reality, y'all, like, my heart is good. Nah, I got common sense now, and I don't play that shit. Like, if, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I don't fuck with you, I don't fuck with you. Ain't no in life for you, baby. Okay? And at this point now, to where God done had to reveal it to me, everything that has happened, yeah, can't nobody come now and be like, oh, I just want to talk and let me confess and let me say this. Like, no, you're going to have to confess, but in a way in which you never planned. You know what I'm saying? Like, did you confessing on your way to jail type shit, or you confessing on your deathbed on the way up out of here? Because you know you can't leave until you make that shit right. You can't stop, you know what I'm saying, the torturing on this earth until you make that shit right and say what it is. But could this, before where I was in my mind have something that was you could have told me and it probably would have been handled in a quiet way and all of this? Possibly. But now shit have to keep coming out like this on YouTube and in readings, you know what I'm saying, to where everybody can fucking see. Absolutely. The same people y'all still trying to make money off of and lie to every week and all of that. I hope it ain't nobody crazy enough to still be listening to you and connected to you. Paying no money towards you, you know what I'm saying, any of that. Because, baby, when I say cursed, cursed. You got too many bodies on your motherfucking hand. And like I said, that's other reading in itself. This is about Stella Girl today and how she was definitely one of them bodies. Confirmation. But for everything else, I promise you, baby, that truth gonna come out too. And as much as y'all hate it, it's probably gonna be through me. What don't come out on the news and everything else, or I'll say this, it'll come from me first and then you'll see it on the news later, whatever it is. People gonna know. So let's see what you do with that. But thank you, beautiful. Thank you, Stella Girl, for coming this reading. I'm going to close out this energy here. Thank you for letting me know that you needed to say something today. Thank you for speaking your truth. Again, Spirit, I do pray and ask Archangel Gabriel especially with your help with making sure that this message reached the right energy, the right person, the right places at the right time. And let it be very loud and clear to whoever needs to see this message, Spirit. Protect the message, protect the truth always. And protect every person as well, Spirit, that will be forth to speak their truth as it pertains to these situations. And we thank you for that. Ashe. All right, I'll talk to y'all again soon.